Okay. Well, just go.
What we
Well,
kind
this is the blooper reel.
what we kind of decided was that each week we were going to do two things. We were going to do this little talk at the beginning of the week, so we'll hopefully get this live Sunday or Monday. And then the second thing we do each week is our sort of adventure video. So I posted our adventure this morning about our trip to Cocoa Beach. So each week, what we share with you in our talk will be something we kind of learned or had to work through that week. So Richard's gonna start.
Okay, so this is a story about a bracelet. So about halfway through our 7th year of marriage, we contemplated getting matching tattoos. There was the cliche infinity tattoo. Infinity obviously represents what we felt about our relationship. It was also heading into the 8th year, so it was a play on the number 8, turned sideways, that whole thing. We ended up never getting it for one reason or another. We never pursued it really. So at the beginning of this year, for Valentine's Day, and I'm a notoriously bad gift giver, I thought about what I could buy for Carrie that was sort of representative, because we had already gone through some things at the beginning of the year that were difficult. But I wanted to harken back to what I knew our relationship was or what I wanted it to be. So I started looking up things, jewelry that had the infinity symbol on it. And I found this bracelet which had the infinity symbol on it. And so I attached to that bracelet the meaning that we had sort of shared and talked about previously. And it was, to me, I thought, well, this is this great, wonderful thing that I'm getting for Carrie. I'm finally doing a good job as a gift giver. It was special to me, and I thought that it would be special to her as well.
So he got me this infinity bracelet, which I looked at as kind of like a cliche Valentine's Day gift. I'm not a jewelry person, and in particular, I do not like bracelets. So I tried to love this bracelet because I knew that it was important to him. And like a month after having it, if that, the bracelet broke in half. And it was kind of like, oh, so infinity isn't forever. And I sort of attached this like broken feeling and what had happened earlier in the year to this bracelet. So I took it and I threw it in my jewelry box and I didn't even want to look at it.
Well, I think the bottom line is obviously a broken bracelet does not imply anything about a relationship. It's not anything that's real, that's even logical, but that doesn't prevent us from, as people, sort of attaching meaning to things. And so that meaning was imparted onto this object by Carrie. And so, you know, one of the things that we talked about is it doesn't really matter in this particular case as a gift giver what I intended the gift to mean. What ultimately matters is what the recipient places on it as far as meaning. So if I allowed that to hurt me, and it kind of did when Carrie told me that.
And first of all, you got to say, okay, so I didn't actually tell you. You knew it was broken, but I didn't tell you I was like mad at the bracelet until recently because I kind of honestly like put it out of my mind. But I bought a necklace recently for myself that I really like, but we were on vacation, and that made me think about the bracelet. So I actually dug it out of my jewelry box this week and looked at the warranty on it and decided to go to the store. And after some negotiating with the person who worked there and customer service and all that, they let me exchange the bracelet for something else, which was nearly impossible because I just don't like jewelry. And so after wandering through this tiny jewelry store for maybe a half hour, I found a necklace that had a tree like pendant. And I decided to purchase that because I looked at trees. I've kind of attached that meaning and representation to look at it as like growing and moving forward. So it sort of took away the broken feeling of the infinity bracelet.
Because I started to get upset. I was upset. I was down on myself. I was down on
Your choices you made this year?
Carrie's reaction to the bracelet, and obviously I was down on the choices, but that was sort of a separate thing. So the bracelet sort of got entwined into that. But ultimately I had to work through it in this way. Like whatever, if I'm truly giving the gift for Carrie to Carrie, then my only concern is her reaction to it. If she receives it well, that's great. That's my intent, is for her to get this thing, this object or whatever it is, that she gets pleasure and enjoyment out of and means something good to her. If I get her something and I'm upset because she's upset, the gift was really to make myself feel better for getting a gift in the first place, when usually I don't. And that's obviously not something that I want. You want me to?
So what this sort of led to is a conversation about triggers. and how you don't know necessarily what's going to trigger someone. I could hear a song from my childhood and I have an exceptionally vivid memory, and it could set off all sorts of things. I could smell something and it may set off something amazing, but you attach meaning to different things and you never know when that meaning will kind of creep up on you. And so this is particularly relevant when it comes to bad memories associated with something that happened with your partner. So we really talked a lot this week about, okay, these bad memories may kind of come up, and it could be because of choices you made recently or choices made 15 years ago, depending upon how long you've been with your partner. And the longer you've been together, it's likely the more meaning you're attaching to all sorts of things, positive and negative. So we sort of came up with some ways to work through triggers. Do you want to talk about?
So the first thing is you have to have an honest discussion, and I think it's important for you to be honest with yourself first. And I know that's, speaking of cliches, kind of a cliche, but if you don't allow yourself to work through your feelings and what it is that you're experiencing, there's no way possible for you to be able to communicate that with your partner.
And your greatest concern cannot be, my partner's going to be mad at me, my partner's going to be sad. Like it needs to come out. Like, I guess I probably felt bad that I took this bracelet and kind of just hid it, and I was afraid to really talk about it because I wasn't prepared to talk about it yet. And then once I hit that point, I was ready to talk about it, and then we can move forward. But I had to be honest and not really worry so much about Richard being offended, but more worry about Richard connecting with me.
Second one, take something that is damaged, in this case literally, but figuratively also, and add new meaning to it. So there was, I was just thinking about this actually, there was a song that Carrie in the past associated with a certain person, with a certain event that happened. And at first I had a negative reaction to it, but then over time, I you know, so much about this is perspective taking. And so over time, I was able to get rid of the negative feelings that I ever had associated with that song and sort of see it from her perspective and adopt that mentality that was at least neutral, if not positive.
And then the last one is to actually bury something. And I think, like, I could talk things to death. I do it all the time. But at some point, even when I talk about it, if I continue to talk about it afterwards, I have to hit that point of acceptance where I could say, like, okay, this negative stuff I have associated with this, I've worked through it as much as I can, I've talked about it as much as I can, it is time to bury it and just fully make peace with this situation. Say, okay, this is my past, I may have been ashamed, I may have been hurt, I may feel just awful about it, but it's okay because that led me to where I am now. So you have to really find it in yourself to put that to rest.
So identify those triggers, have an honest discussion about them, even if you believe that discussion is not going to be immediately beneficial. It's going to be a struggle. Heck, talking to this camera is a struggle for me. And then figure out a way to move forward. We gave you a few ideas. Those are by no means the only ideas, but it's work, and that's the work that you sort of have to put into all of this, but triggers in this particular case.
Okay, so I don't know what adventure we're going to have this week, but we'll figure it out and share it with you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.